All right, here we go. There's the temperatures. There we go. All right, welcome everybody here to News Talk 790 WNIS. Welcome to this Ask the Expert show. I'm Damian Hall and happy to be here with you this hour once again with our friend Dr. Adam Hogan from Full Implant Choice. Creating some beautiful smiles you'll see all across Hampton Roads when it comes to dental implants and truly helping people smile for the rest of their days. We're talking about dental implants with Full Implant Choice right here on WNIS this hour. And I believe we're also streaming on the YouTubes and maybe some of the other social medias as well, so people can get rebroadcasts of the show or other live options to watch as they listen right here live on News Talk 790. But Dr. Hogan, glad to have you aboard this hour. How are you?
I'm doing great, Damien. Thanks for having me back on. And I'm joining you from my office here in Virginia Beach. It was busy treating people and treating patients and getting new smiles in. So I didn't really want to get all caught up in the traffic while getting over there to you. So, but thanks on have for having me remotely.
No, always a pleasure to have you on here live on the air. And I know I get it. I know that you guys are busy and you spend a lot of time with each individual patient. And as you've called them before, they're more friends as they are patients by the time they get to that point. And I think that's a wonderful thing to celebrate. Even if you can't be here all the time, live in person, face
Yeah.
to face with me, but the fact that we're here live on the airwaves and we can take some calls and questions, and again, everybody listening can get a consultation and meet you there on your home turf at Full Implant Choice just from listening to the show. So, nonetheless, I'm excited that you're here, and we can talk about dental implants this hour. But tell me about this week, last week. What have you seen? What's new? What's going on?
Well, we kicked off this week with another great life-changing event. We had a veteran in. I'm not going to mention anybody by names, but we had a veteran in, and veterans are very special to me as a Marine Corps and a Navy veteran myself. But having somebody in who was basically 100% disabled and referred over here by the VA and treated with my partner and I, Dr. James Lish, my prosthodontist partner, and myself to bring her in and give her new hope, new smile. And because veterans, we know they need loving and need care, as much as anybody or more than anybody. I mean, I've got so many veterans that are near and dear to me. I mean, in my last 30 some years since I was in the Marine Corps. So it was a really quite a special day to be able to deliver a brand new smile on this very deserving veteran and kick this week off right.
No, yeah, no, that's special, no doubt about it. I mean, we love our veterans, and you're a veteran, I understand as well, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yep. I enlisted in the Marine Corps out of high school. That was 19 some time ago. Sorry, broke up a little bit there on the year, but that was a little while ago. And I didn't have quite enough. So, after I got into dental school, I decided I'd re up. And of course, the Marine Corps does not have any doctors. And a lot of people out there
Hmm.
don't know that. Some people
No.
do. But going back in the Marine Corps as a doctor was not an option. So I joined our brother and sister organization over there, United States Navy, and served there for a few more years in the early 2000s.
Oh. Oh, so you're a dual branch. So is there official name for that? People that serve in two branches?
I don't know, multiple personalities.
Uh,
I'm not
I'm
quite
sure that
sure.
encompasses much more than just our friends there. But
I'm sure there's a term for it, but
yeah,
eh, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, split service. Some people say. Well, that's split time, I guess. But nonetheless, I mean, I enjoyed time with both. I mean, I'm a Marine at heart. I mean, I was born. I wanted to be a Marine since I was like 6 years old, and I fulfilled that dream when I was 17 years old. And I love the Marine Corps and the how it's just kind of the doctrine of the Marine Corps, the mission of the Marine Corps and the way that they serve. The Navy's a different animal, but the Navy's got, they've got different missions to fight, and they're fighting ships and they're not fighting in holes and things like that. So obviously a very different type of military and both very necessary. So I appreciate all of our veterans out there.
awesome. And tell me a little bit more about the smile that you help somebody enjoy for in today's world, or in
Yeah.
today's schedule rather.
Yeah. The smiles. I mean, it's so much more than just a set of teeth. It's not, it's so much more than just, a tooth or a dental implant. I mean, people ask what you do, and it's like, well, we're in the business of making teeth and doing dental implants, and but it's not teeth and implants that I love. I love changing people's lives. I love the psychology of it. Just people being able to get up in the morning and like themselves and be able to live a more open life and be social, to talk to other people, to smile at people and have them smile back at you, to actually have candid conversations and create friendships. I think that's, what humanity is all about, is being able to get out there in public. Of course, a lot of people are gonna say, well, no, I'm introverted, but on some level, you need to go out and talk to other people, and you need a job, or you need a relationship, or you just need to be welcome at the grocery store or something like that. You don't want people thinking that you're not a nice person by not smiling back. So that benefit, that psychological benefit that a beautiful smile brings, it's tremendous. And I know for all the guys out there listening who go, oh, he said beautiful smile, and I'm not vain, and I don't care what it looks like, and I just want teeth to be able to eat my salad or my pizza or my steak. I get that, but on some level, everybody enjoys just looking and feeling a little bit better. I mean, you just can't deny it.
No doubt about it. And liking what you see in the mirror just a little bit better is worth every day that you have left. So there's a lot of things we can talk about during this Ask the Expert show for the next hour. And I want to open up our phone lines. So if anybody out there has a question, they can feel free to join us at 627-7979. And always know that you can join Full Implant Choice and get your consultation scheduled at any time. Talk to a live person right here in Hampton Roads. Call 757-629-4259. That's 629-4259. And we'd love to hear from you this hour. Eh, we've talked on past shows about revision surgeries and people making, I want to, I almost want to call it emotional decisions, or just making, I don't want to say the wrong decision, because I guess that's subjective. But when somebody shops around, maybe they do travel, they think that they're going to get a better
Yeah.
deal somewhere else, and maybe they go out of town, or maybe they even stay in town, but they end up becoming unsatisfied with their dental implants when they go for the cheapest route possible. And inevitably, they end up going to Dr. Hogan and the staff to get a revision done and to, set right what was set wrong by a previous decision. Tell me about
Right.
that. How often do you find people that need revision surgeries because they went elsewhere, and then they have, long lasting regrets and
Yeah.
paychecks that are, or bills due from that bad decision?
Yeah. Well, Damien, you're acting as if we had 30 seconds to chat before tonight's interview, which we did not, because, I'll typically, when you ask that question about revision surgeries and people having regrets, I'll typically say, a couple times a month or whatever, maybe once a week. But I have out there this morning, I let go a story on Instagram and on Facebook because I was feeling the frustration of five people in the last 3 business days, five
Whoa.
new patients in the last 3 business days who called here because they were having a poor result with their treatment, and they were having problems, they were having complications. And I'll take you through a couple of them in a second without naming any names. And for those out there listening, a lot of people always think, well, he's talking about me, but not necessarily. I'm not, because today I let that out on social media, and I had another woman come in that we've recently treated, and she said, um, you know, were you talking about me this morning? And I was like, you know what? I was not even talking about you. I was talking about five other people, um, because there's always one more. But five people in 3 business days. Two went to Las Vegas, saw a corporate giant out there who, by the way, will do your consultation over the phone out here. You can fly out to Las Vegas and get a package deal and get your hotel paid for, and you're there and you're gone in 3 to 5 days, and you got your teeth. And
That sounds like a vacation. That sounds
oh,
wonderful.
doesn't it sound awesome? And you get to do it for the price of a vacation. It sounds so great. Let me get real. It's so awesome. Let me do the cheapest healthcare I can.
Yeah, 2 for 1. You get all your free
Uh,
drinks and you get dental implants. Wonder why
yeah.
those
So
connected.
I
Yeah.
mean, I've done 2 consultations on patients that went to this office in Las Vegas, and it's notorious. If you're out there and you're Googling dental implants and probably Las Vegas, you're probably going to pop up on your top three. and they do these phone conversation consultations with you back in Virginia, and then they set up the day you go out there to have the surgery and you're back in 4 or 5 days. And I'm just going to tell you that I don't think that that's the right way to do this kind of dentistry. I don't think you can do good dentistry like that 95% of the time. I think a lot of these people end up, with some kind of regrets. And, one of them, nice guy, was actually in the office and he said, he's having a problem. His teeth are loose, don't fit, aren't working well, and he called out there to the office in Las Vegas and they said, yeah, well, we don't actually maintain and service them. You have to find someone around there that can help you out. So, now the guy's like calling all over town and of course nobody wants to see him. And, reluctantly we'll take a look. I mean, it's no doctor wants to go after another doctor and fix their work. We know it's going to be more complicated. We know it's probably going to be more expensive, so it's just not a good comfortable position for them or us to be in. You want to find somebody when you're getting your mouth restored and you're getting health care, you're getting a prosthetic. Let's just break it down, Damien. You're getting a set of teeth put in your face. You're getting dental implants put into your bone. This is not where you want to go, like, to your, fast food joint, type burger place to get, the cheapest burger you can get. You don't want cheap teeth. You don't want cheap care. And what a lot of people find out when they get cheap is that they have regrets and they end up getting it redone. I got one other person went to Mexico, and two others went to cities in Texas, Austin, and San Antonio. And what we're finding out is just that in general, when people go looking for the cheap and the quick, they're probably going to have to do it again. And to do it right, it's probably going to cost more. It might take longer. It might be harder to do. And so they really need to know that cheap and quick is not the way to go with your healthcare. You really want to make a good decision with a good provider. Been in business going on 25 years, doing dental implants that long, doing full mouth dental implants that long. And I've got a little bit of a history and a little bit of experience to be able to understand what works and how and why. And also, we'll be here for a long time to come, and we do maintain and see our patients afterwards. We're not going to tell you, oh, we don't do that, which, there's a lot in here for you to unpack, Damien, but most, all the corporate offices I know, they're just going to put them in. 3 days or 3 months later, they never want to see you again. And so you have to ask yourself, does it really make sense to save, 10% or even 50% for that matter? Does it really make sense when you know that your doctor's not going to be there to see you if something goes wrong, or even to maintain them and keep them?
Yeah.
So,
No.
no, there's a lot there for you to unpack. I know.
Yeah. Well, but I guess that makes sense for the big corporate business model for clients to be, one and done.
Yeah.
Over the years of me doing this show, I've done a number of shows with HVAC installers and business owners that did HVAC. And the ones that didn't last through the last recessions were ones that were all about replacing that unit. They weren't about maintaining it. They weren't about doing it really correctly or dealing with duct systems. They were
Yeah.
just, let's just slap it in, slap it out, go to the next one, move to the next one. That was the business model, and it
Yeah.
didn't really suit the customer in the long run because, like your teeth, you're going to have that HVAC unit for a number of years or the rest of your life, and you want it to work well. And this is way more important than an HVAC unit. That's for many reasons I don't need to go into. But Dr. Hogan, who we're talking to here this hour with Full Implant Choice, how important is that to know that you're going to a dentist with not just experience. We'll get into how much experience really plays into it, which I know is huge. But for a dentist that actually follows up on this work and does it quite regularly and is able to maintain any maintenance that needs to be done on your dental implants and your brand new smile, how important is that?
I would say it's paramount. It makes sense. People understand it with other things they buy, out there in the marketplace. You mentioned HVAC, and I think of like roofs. And, do you really want somebody who is just going to come by and slap on a roof in like 6 hours, but never be there to answer the phone if it leaks, right? Or they say if it leaks, like, oh, we only install them. Don't call us. Call someone else.
Yeah, that's why we
Or
joke about the taillight warranty. When you can't see my taillights, the warranty's over.
yeah, right. I think that's what they do out there in Las Vegas and some of these other discount clinics around the country. It's no, you're done. I mean, to I've talked to doctors who work at a big for a big national corporate chain, and I should mention names because they're guilty as all get out, but I'm not going to. But these doctors, they call me up and they tell me about all the ways that they cut corners to save money, and they talk about how the company won't even allow them to do revisions, but if they do a revision, the doctor gets, they get docked in pay. I mean, literally, I've seen it in writing. Any of you lawyers out there for big corporations, you want to challenge this? I've got it in writing, from emails from other doctors. It's true. You guys do. You do. They will, a doctor says, "Oh, we messed up. I want to do it again." They say, "Fine, it comes out of your paycheck." And already they're not getting paid much, to begin with. And so it's just they don't want to see the person back. They're doing everything in their power to make sure that doctors and staff are disincentivized, to actually do the right thing. And some of these doctors are coming to me because they're resigning and they're quitting, and their moral compass is turning in circles, and they know that they have to get out of it, and many of them have. But it doesn't negate the veracity of the story, which is that they are there to sell it, hurry up and do it, and then forget it. And so, I'm a little emotional about this today because I have had 5 times, actually six, because I wasn't counting the young lady who asked if the story was about her. But I posted that on Facebook and Instagram, that story today that talked about the 5 people I've met in the last 3 business days who went out of state to get something done cheap and now have to have regrets and revisions. And they can't, 1 out of the 5 could even get in touch with their previous dental clinic. So, I'm a little emotional about this, almost on behalf of the patient, on behalf of I have to have these hard conversations, and I don't want to be put in that position, and they don't want to be in that position either. But of course, they're saying like, who's responsible? And you have to take the high ground and say, I wasn't there at the time of service, and I can't really say, what went wrong. And and they're like, well, do you think I should be, I have any course of action here? And I'm like, yeah, it's not for me to say, blah blah. Well, you need to redo it. And, they'll say you need to redo it, and I'll say, yeah, yeah, yeah. And they'll say, well, why should I expect it to turn out any different?
Yeah.
And I'm going, well, I don't know, it's all, I can take you into details, but I do things differently. I don't set up my implants like that. I set them up like this. The prosthetics I do differently, and we take our time. We make sure it's right. We make sure it's balanced. We make sure it fits your face, your joints, everything's comfortable. So it's just, I just gotta, I gotta impress upon you that we do things differently, and so it's a really hard conversation to be had with people who feel like they've been, cheated, or they've been deceived, or lied to, or treated poorly. And, to some extent, their feelings are valid. But, at the same time, they might have made a decision to go do things conveniently and cheap. And, maybe they have a little bit of responsibility in that as well. But, that's not for me to judge. But I'm just here to fix it. I'm just here to do it right, and do it right the first time. And that's what we go for. And if something needs to be revisited and redone, we'll help you through it.
Yeah, no, and that's awesome. And again, family owned, family operated, and we'll talk about why that's important in a minute. And that allows Dr. Hogan to really put you, the patient, at the forefront of every decision, not a boardroom full of shareholders and board members that all want their cut with a giant corporation. We're talking family run, family owned. And Dr. Hogan is who we're talking to this hour, who owns Full Implant Choice. He's the one doing the surgeries, and he's the guy that other dentists and doctors travel from across the country to come here to learn under. That's Dr. Adam Hogan with Full Implant Choice. You can check out all the social medias if you'd like. You can check us out live right now. I believe on this video of this show will be on YouTube, I believe.
Yeah,
But
that's
you
right.
can,
Yeah, we're on
yeah.
YouTube right now.
Oh, awesome. So feel free to join us there. And you can also join us on the air if you'd like to at 627 7979. 627 7979. Now, you mentioned experience, the fact that you've been doing dental implants and focusing on this for over 20 years. How do you find your insurance stack or your insurance? How do you find that your experience level stacks up against the quote competition in the
Yeah.
field?
Well, I always say competition. My only competition is with myself. I don't really look at what other people are doing. I know that we're going to do just fine. God will provide for us in so many ways. But I mean, I guess the proverbial, the competition that you see on the internet, it's that is a very real problem because people, listeners out there will Google implants or they'll Google teeth or missing teeth or you know, painful teeth or whatever. They'll figure out a way to get their teeth fixed, all these different search terms, and they'll see a whole page full of different offices, excuse me, on Google. And I get it. To the consumer, they all look the same. For something about American culture, especially, and I think it's more worldwide, but people's culture of like the dentist. It's like nobody ever put much thought into the dentist growing up. It's just a place you went to get your teeth cleaned and some laughing gas growing up. Hopefully that was the worst of it.
Or
But
the
it
best.
was always a place you go when there's a problem. And a lot of people don't put much thought into the dentist. They sort of think that every dentist is the same. So, you know, people all the time they'll call up a dental office. How much for a crown? How much for a cleaning? How much for an implant? Nobody ever asks what the difference is or why you're different. Or, nobody, most people don't even take the time to read reviews or the resume of the doctor in the office or the hygienist in the office. Nobody even reads it. It's just how much for, how much for, how much for, which if you think about it, it's pretty absurd because if you were to buy a car or a roof or an air conditioning unit, you're going to ask about the quality. You're going to ask about how long is this going to last? You're going to ask about how long have you been in business? You're going to ask those questions. But nobody ever seems to ask the dentist those questions, which I guess is how, these corporate, schmorporate centers can get away with these running these cheap ads and flying people out to another city to do things, for fractions of the price and then never be heard from again, because the public isn't asking the right questions, which you brought it up, experience, experience level, reviews, they're out there. Read our reviews on Google, on Facebook. I mean, they're all true. My mom didn't write a single one of them. I promise you. All thousands of them. They're all bona fide, legitimate patients. Which you can't even say that for the big boxes. For the big groups, because a corporate chain will open a brand new office in a city, and they'll put in all their best reviews that they've ever gotten from all around the country, and none of them have to do with the location yet. None of them have to do with that doctor yet. We just saw an office open up here locally, and I happen to know the doctor who's opening the office, and I know he's not working there. He's got 5 or 6 other offices already, and I know he's not there. At least he's not going to be there more than a day a month or 3 days a month tops. So any reviews that he puts in that on his webpage, none of them reflect the quality of work that's there. And talk about before and after pictures on our website. All of our pictures are our patients, and I know we got to go to break here in a sec. We'll talk about this more after, but our pictures on our website, our reviews, they are actually our living patients. None of them are stock photos. None of them are borrowed or stolen from another office or taken from a full implant choice in San Francisco, California, which doesn't exist, by the way. But it's all our work here locally.
No, that's awesome. Something you can look up, rely on, and know that you can consistently come back to Full Implant Choice here in Virginia Beach with Dr. Hogan and the wonderful staff to get your dental implants, to get your friends and your family their dental implants, and really truly create those smiles that'll last a lifetime. We do have to go to a quick break here on this Ask the Expert show, but we'll be right back here on News Talk 790 WNIS. I'm Damian Hall here live with Full Implant Choice's very own Dr. Adam Hogan. We'll be right back. Cool.
Hey, Damien, I think we're still running live here
Yeah.
on,
Yeah.
so I don't know if you want to black out your screen and take
Absolutely.
a quick break.
I'll
Yeah.
do that. I'll be back
Let me
with you
know
in
when you
just a
come
minute.
back.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm going to keep on running live for the folks on YouTube here. I don't have anything really prepared to say, except, a comment. This has kind of been a heated episode for me on AM 790 WNIS because um, I it's really hard for me to see people struggling with their healthcare decisions and their poor healthcare decisions, and to have to sit and have conversations, long conversations. I mean, these conversations are taking up, 30, 45, 60, 75 minutes of my day to have these conversations with people who have had cheap vacation work gone wrong, vacation work. So in other words, you see an ad for cheap smile down in, let's just say, Miami, Florida, or at Las Vegas or Los Angeles, and you say, okay, well, I'm going to go there because it's X dollars cheaper, and they promise to have it done in 3 days, and or whatever. I never have to go back, and they make it sound so simple. It's very hard to have these conversations and help these people. They've been hurt. They've been misled. They've spent a lot of money. They've spent time, not just the time it took to go to those cities and get something done, but they've probably been suffering with a problem for some time and worrying about it on a daily basis. And oftentimes, like I find out that it's been months of aggravation. And so when they sit down here and they go through these stories of what they're going through, and it's hard for me to coach them because they're upset, and maybe rightfully so, perhaps, very much rightfully so. But now they're faced with having to do the full mouth procedure again, and having to not only do that, but having to trust somebody new again, right after you've been down a road where it just isn't going, it hasn't gone well, so it's like, if the last time you jumped in a car or were in a car accident, it's kind of hard to get back in a car the next time. I mean, I guess the same thing. You take your life and you go down and you have a bad accident, and so it has it has it's truthfully, it's not fair to us either to have to go through that, especially 4 out of these 5 people. So we talked about 5 people. Potentially, there's a sixth one I was reminded of today, possibly, but we talked about 5 people this morning that have gone out of state, one out of the country, to chase after cheap, quick dental implants, and they're all back. And 4 out of the 5 of them couldn't even locate their old office. Well, they could locate it, but the office won't return any calls. One of the 5, excuse me, one of the 5 was contacted their office in, I think it was out in Las Vegas, and they said, "Yeah, sorry you're having a problem, but we don't handle maintenance. We don't handle those problems. We just do the work on the front end. You'll have to go find someone else." And can you imagine buying a brand new car and having it break in the first year, and the dealership says, "My apologies, but we just sell the car. Sorry the brand new car broke. You're just gonna have to go find a mechanic. You're on your own." And that's, very much what a lot of these people get told. Or, in the case of, the person coming down from Mexico, which just happens to be Mexico. It could have been, gosh, any number. It could have been a number of other countries where this happens quite a bit, but this one happened to be Mexico. And they say, "Oh, you're having a problem. Okay, you fly down here, and we'll look at it, but you probably want to bring another 10 or $15,000. We don't know what it's going to take, but there's going to be charges for some things. There's going to be charges for other things there won't. But bring an extra 10 or $15,000 just to cover it, just in case." We're talking about work that isn't even, well, in that case, I think it's less than a year. I think it's 8 or 9 months old, and the patient says that they've been having problems ever since. You know, with all this talk, it can um, it can feel, daunting. It can feel like, oh, well, there's all these problems out there, all these complications out there. But I'll assure you, there doesn't have to be. If it's done right, if the job is done right by somebody who's, there to follow you and track it, and look after these problems before they become big problems, and fix things and stand behind their work, things do not become big major problems. They shouldn't become big major problems 999,000 times out of 100,000 times. Like, you shouldn't have issues. And it's quite a different process going through this at Full Implant Choice. So yeah, today's a little, we had some good things today. We treated the veteran, and that, of course, that went really well. I saw patients in here that have been at this more than 5 years with us in the hygiene program, doing great. When Damien comes back, I think we should focus more on that as well. The people that are doing so well here at Full Implant Choice, because we definitely saw smiles come back. I mean, I'm looking at some of my office screen over here as I look at my schedule. Probably 8 other people, in the office today just for checkups, that we did their full mouth, and they're doing great. By the way, one of them, I think he was 6 years. It did not show for his recare. We do not advise that. 6 years. And I walked in there a little concerned about what I was going to find, and everything was perfect. Everything was perfect, just the way we set it up. All the implants healthy, his teeth healthy. Now I told him, by the way, I said, you got away with one. I don't advise anybody have this done and go 5, 6, 7 years and not have it looked at. You definitely got away with one. You got lucky. So let's not let it be another 5 or 6 years. But it's also a testament to how our work stacks up and how it lasts over time.
Hey, Dr. Hogan, you still there?
Hey, Evan. Everything kind of went dead on my mic. It said he came back on. It said it started a new recording track. It still looks like it's recording on my end.